for technicalities. I will shortly present a case study that we have conducted on energy communities. So this is a case study where a local municipality wanted to elaborate on different options on how to transition to a low carbon energy system. And just to give you like a short introduction to the case study, Eemnes is a small municipality in the north of the Netherlands. It has a very supportive and active municipality in the realm of the energy transition. We have a presence of an energy cooperative, so a lot of citizens are involved also in the investment of renewables. In the Netherlands, there are various supportive national schemes. So in this is actually a part of a European project called Renaissance, and they also received like an exception from the electricity law, and they're allowed to conduct testing with peer-to-peer trading of energy. So it's just like neighbors can share with each other the energy that they are producing with, for example, their photovoltaic on the roofs. And in general, it's like a really rich community. And as I said, it's a community in transition. So what we have done there is the Mamka Workshop. And we talked with the community what they would want to explore. And this like different pathways to reach climate neutrality in the energy sector by 2030. And there were 3 options they wanted to explore, which is the current situation. So basically, it's just that people buy their electricity as it's commonly done, so they buy it from the main grid, or they would develop an energy community. So they would combine all the local residents that co-invest in renewable energy, and then they would share this energy that they are producing around the town. And then in the prosumer network, it would be a little bit more specific to those that can afford in their own assets, such as photovoltaic. And here to explain it a bit more visually, it's just that here you have the houses and they are connected to the national grid, and then they get the energy directly from the grid. In the next option, it's an energy community. So it's really like a local energy market. They invest in PVs, they can invest in wind turbines, they can invest in storage of energy, and they share among each other the energy that they produce. And if they cannot cover their consumption, they would rely on the general grid and get the energy then. And in the prosumer model, it's a bit different. So only those people that have individual PVs, for example, share the energy among each other, or they sell it to the remaining citizens in the town. So it's a bit more an exclusive model to those that can afford PVs. And the benefit is mainly for those prosumers that have their own individual assets. So to show you what is done in the survey, it's basically before, maybe to start off, we first conducted a survey and talked with the citizens and obtained their objectives regarding the future energy system. So there were various options and they could choose among these. So often it was chosen grid functionality, reliable energy, community building, something like this, or objectives like this. And here you can see an example how it is done in the software. So we inputted the responses of the software, of the survey in the software. And I will show it later also directly in the software. It's just that you have opposing objectives, community building and inclusiveness. And then you, as a stakeholder, for example, as a citizens, you decide, oh, inclusiveness is a lot more important to me than community building, then it receives a higher number. Or maybe on the bottom, it's more clear what is more important, decarbonization or community building. And then they would need to compare each objective with each other. So it's like an AHP comparison. Here you can see what is then resulting from this comparison. It's an overview of the objectives per stakeholder group and seeing what is their main importance. As I said, I will show it in the in the software a bit later too. So on the bottom, you see we invited the local government and the distribution system operator, a platform like a technology provider, a local company, and an energy cooperative. 1 second. And then in the next step, what is also done with the software is you have these different options that I introduced to you. And then you score how, or the stakeholders, the participants score how these objectives are performing in the various options for energy communities in this example. So you either go say, oh yeah, awareness and education is performing a lot better in the new options, then you give it a higher number, or you give it a lower number if you think business as usual is performing better. So I go directly to the software now, so I can show you how it is done or how it looks. Can you see the screen? No, okay. 1 second. Okay. So here on the first step, you can input the different options for whatever sustainability topic you're researching. In this case, as said, it was different options for energy cooperatives. In the next step, you have the various actors that are involved in this evaluation. So as said, it was the local government, DSO, platform provider, local company, and an energy cooperative. And for the criteria, we use the input of the survey, but you can either make a set of criteria yourself, or you let the stakeholders decide on the criteria also during a workshop. There are different options. But what is the result of this? Every stakeholder has a set of distinct criteria. So it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. And this is how the interface with the software looks like. And then in the innovate section, I mean, here we already have this results, but when they are doing this exercise, it's basically this pairwise comparison that I already showed you just before. That they have here this pairwise comparison, and the results are then also visible in a weight graph. So we have here the example of the local government. You click on the weight graph. You have here the results of the HP comparison. So in this case, the local government had reduction of emissions and increase of renewables as the most important objectives. In contrast, the DSO, maybe you can see that their objectives was grid functionality, which is obviously also their responsibility in the energy market. In the evaluation section, there are different ways also to do this. Either it's you as researchers can input the evaluation, or you can do it during a workshop. And as you can see here the objectives and the different options, and you have to decide when it scores better or worse. And as the last one is the most interesting part, I think, is when you have the overall overview. Is on the bottom, you can see the different stakeholders. On the left, you can see the scores. So here it's actually quite a clear overview, but I have to mention, it's the input of an expert evaluation. So we inputted the results. Sometimes if the stakeholders input their own evaluation, it's a lot more conflictive, and then also a lot of space for discussions. In red, you can see the baseline scenario, the business as usual. In turquoise, it's the prosumer network. And in blue, it's the energy community. And you have also the option to look into individual stakeholders. Here you can see the local government. What you can see on grid functionality, actually all of these scenarios score the same. So on the other scenarios, it's actually the same hierarchical performance of the different options, but it can be different from case study to case study. And when you show this during workshop, it's opening really the floor for discussions. Yeah, so this is basically the interview interface and the graphs that the software is providing. And there's also the option to conduct a sensitivity analysis and see what would it change if you would change a bit of the weight of the objectives. So this is an overview. If you have any questions.